I'm Michael Reese.
And I'm Woods Davis.
And this is the Digital President Podcast.
We've cracked the code for generating customers online for every business model.
In fact, we wrote the book on it.
We've built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses in as little as 90 days. And the one truth that we discovered is
the best business model is doing what you love and living your life by strategy.
You truly can follow your passion and create the life of your dreams,
as long as you have the right strategy.
If you're a real estate agent and you'd like to learn how you can partner with us to help you implement our strategies and systems in your business so you can make a lot more money and have a lot more time freedom, all without ever paying us a penny or giving up a percentage of your commission, go to partnershipdetails.com and schedule a call with us today. While it's fresh in your mind, go to partnershipdetails.com. Now on to the podcast.
All right, so let's just jump right in, man. It's why some funnels, work and don't work. I was sharing with you, and if you received this video via email, because we do take all of our YouTube videos and send them out, then you probably know a little bit of the backstory. But I was playing golf this week, man, and my mom, she's just been here for a couple weeks, and she got done hitting and jumped on the golf cart, and she said, "So what is a funnel?" I remember thinking like, well, I don't want to give some complicated explanation, so I tried to explain it as clear as I possibly could. And you know what she said? She said, "Oh, okay, so you just funnel them all the way down until they become a client." I was like, yeah, that's what we do. We funnel them all the way down. But here's the point, guys. Listen, today we're going to talk about tip of spear. And the reason we're going to talk about this is right now, a lot of people, they want to get started marketing online. And really the success starts with tip of spear. And using an analogy for fishing, you could have one of the best fishing poles. In fact, you could have the best boat. You could go out at the right time. You could have the best hooks that are made for fishing. In fact, you could have the best bait. But if you go out in the saltwater trying to catch a freshwater fish, you ain't going to catch anything. I don't care who you are. And if you go into the freshwater trying to catch a saltwater fish, you're not going to catch anything, because everything when it comes down to marketing and creating a comprehensive marketing strategy, which is, again, on the front end, takes a little bit of work, but gives you all your time back and becomes a machine. It's the only way to do business. You can't do it if you don't first start with who. When you're going to go fishing, you got to start with, hey, man, what are we fishing for? That's how you know what pole to take, what line to put on your pole, what tackle to put in the box. And so everybody skips this step. So we're going to share with you what that process looks like and why that step's so important. Today, you got your host and co-host, Michael Reese.
Mr. Woods Davis.
How you doing, brother?
Doing awesome, man. This is the exciting stuff. This is where the rubber really hits the road, getting really clear on your tip of spear strategy. And this is really where you got to start. I mean, it's the difference in going out and trying to be just like a general practitioner versus being highly focused, highly skilled specialist, specializing, in helping one particular type of person solve a real specific problem. And man, when you figure this out, it makes everything else infinitely easier.
So tip of spear by definition is going to be really an entry point. What is the entry point? If you're working online, listen, I'm not saying that you haven't bought leads for somebody. Let's take that, box it up, put it on the shelf. You bought leads, great. The problem with buying leads is you're probably overpaying. The bottom line is, if somebody offered to fill up your gas tank and would come to your house and charge you $12 a gallon, I guess if that was your only option because you didn't know any better, well, sure, you have this obsolete vehicle that doesn't work without gasoline, probably pay any price. But if you knew how to generate or get gas in your car for a fraction of the price, then it would be probably in your best interest to go to that place and fill up. We're not talking about splitting hairs over 2 cents a gallon, but we're talking about most people are overpaying for their leads. Look at it. When people join a team, they go on huge splits. Why? Some of the times it's for some of the back office things, but a lot of the times it's for the leads, it's for the systems, it's for the tools. And so when we say first starting with who, what I mean by that specifically is, are we going after listings or buyers, right? Are we going after first-time home buyers? Are we going after out-of-town buyers? Are we going after, and this is a real good example. This is a good example for people to understand. You have two types of buyers. Let's say you have a buyer that's looking for new construction, right? I'm in the market to build a new home, right? My situation is completely different. And there's a difference between a new home buyer and a custom home buyer, by the way. What kind of buyer? And tip of spear is being the entry point. And what I mean by that is that if you're buying leads, if you haven't actually created a marketing message, literally the guy sitting across from me right now is creating a cash offer marketing message. All we were doing was playing with a few of the words this morning, right? Because words matter. Words matter in marketing. They call out your audience. And so if you're looking to be successful online, if you're looking to build a funnel, then identifying who you want to target. Do you want to target probates? For me, it was expired listings. I started with expired listings because the market conditions were that of which expired listings were in abundance.
Yeah.
You know, and you with short sales, the same thing. When you did short sales, the market was, you want to know what market you're in. And here's the thing, I want to point this out. I had a friend, he used to go with me everywhere. I mean, I would see him at every real estate conference. This guy is absolutely 100% the go-to in his market for luxury. I saw that I think he did like I'm not going to say the city and state. I'm not trying to specifically talk about him, but you know, this guy's doing 10, 12, $14 million listings. When I knew him, if you looked at his business card and website, it looked exactly like mine. He wasn't going to get into the luxury market with that level of branding and the process, the content. You know, he made a pivotal change in his business to become a luxury agent. And so the point is that when you start with the tip of the spear, it doesn't matter if you've bought leads. It doesn't matter what you're currently doing. The question is if you want to engineer your business and you want to grow, you know, and you want to start today, are you wanting to take over a neighborhood? Don't let your current reality keep you where you are forever, right? I moved markets. When I moved markets, it was a completely different customer. The one thing you have is think about what is the current market conditions.
Yeah.
How do you get the wind into your sail, right? And more importantly, how do you get a good strategy?
Yeah. And you know, I mean, thinking about too, the people that you like to work with, the problems that you can solve. I like distressed sellers, and obviously the market conditions were prime for that when I focused primarily on short sales, when that's all I did was short sales, because I also like the fact that they were really motivated.
Well, I mean, it's not even that they're really motivated. The real truth is that it costs them nothing to sell.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to a traditional seller, there's millions of appointments that I went on, and they're like, we were wanting to make a little bit more of that. What's the worst thing with the listing is pricing.
Right.
With the short sell, that one element, it wasn't impactful. The real question, the pain that was associated with was not damaging their credit. And a lot of the times being confident that they'd be able to buy again at some point in the future.
And the big thing was that there was a real problem. Like there was a clear, specific problem that I could specifically address and specifically talk to and offer a solution that had risk reversal. I mean, it was...
Well, there was an audience.
There was definitely an audience.
There was a large audience. And and just so everybody understands, the way that means is that you might not use that marketing in 2018.
Right.
That worked in 2008.
Exactly.
Right? Because again, it's the market conditions that, you know, if you go out there and their tuna's running, then you're going to go fishing for tuna. But if the tuna's not running and there's some other sort of fish, that it's that season. And that's why, you know, when we're coaching people, because a lot of the times our coaching clients ends up watching these videos. We'll send them over a video like this. They reach out to us. Hey, I want to build a funnel. And we're like, hey, listen, we're going to talk about your tip of spear tomorrow. Watch this video in advance before the call. And the goal is really to give you that level of strategy. Strategy is going to be like, what is your current market condition, right? Like, let's not use force. Let's use our brain and think about where we are, where we want to be, and what are all of the different audiences. For me, I'm just, and we were talking about this morning. For me, I love targeting neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, that's just me. Now, if I was super passionate about golf, which I like golf, but I'm not that passionate, but I got a buddy here that plays literally every day, then I would target golf course homes specifically in a larger area. I know a guy that did it really well. He went after all the country clubs, all the golf course living, and, you know, in that community, he did well. And guess where he did most of his work?
On the golf course.
On the golf course.
That's life by strategy right there.
Yeah. But that's what I mean is, and you know, it's not hard to become that person when you know who you're targeting. If you're targeting, and for example, you know, in that scenario, think about it, Woods. if you were going to target a golfer, are they easier to find?
Absolutely. They have interests. They have really specific interests. They have websites they visit. They have magazines they read. They have interests that are one click on the box inside of Facebook or inside of Google, that they are interested in golfing and things that are related to that. So absolutely,
They have events that they attend. They have tournaments you can sponsor. You can be everywhere in that community. For me, it was specifically neighborhood, and the reason why I enjoyed neighborhood was because of the compound effect, right?
Right.
Because if I list a home in a neighborhood and then I list another one, every one of those events creates event-based marketing that allows me to easily collapse time. It helps increase conversion, right? It helps when you say, yeah, I sold a house on your street, sold one on here 3 months ago, one behind 2 streets down. Do you know the one across the street? They see your signs when you're doing open houses. All of that becomes impactful. And when you're talking about a tip of spear, if that's your goal, then a lot of the times people try to make those what we refer to as farms, those market service areas, they try to make them large. But that's not the goal. The goal is impact on the target with the right message, right? And so the messaging there would be highly specialized. The content you would put out wouldn't be about a Frisco market update. I got a guy right now in my neighborhood who puts out an update, and it is amazing. When I first saw it, I was like, man, if I was selling real estate here, I wouldn't want to compete with that. Because this guy, I mean, you can read his post, and he has a community. He is the digital president. He actually has a Facebook group that is super, super engaged and active, all based around the people who live here.
I joined that group. And I mean, I feel like I have a finger on the pulse of that market and of that neighborhood just because of that group and because of the content that he's pumped, and then the whole community is pumping into that group. That's incredible. So I have a quick question for you, and I don't want to derail us too far, but if I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to this would feel the same way about you as far as wanting to target neighborhoods. What do you think is some things to consider if your tip of spear strategy for sellers is targeting a neighborhood? How would you
the main thing with neighborhoods and luxury is you want to lead with proof and case studies, meaning you want to make a big deal out of the first transaction. So a lot of the times when people go in and sell a home in a neighborhood, when they get the listing, when they sell the home, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 1,000, they do maybe a 2. I mean, they sell the home, they get the commission, and they move on. If you're targeting a neighborhood, it's going to be more than that. You're going to do calling around to let people know they have an opportunity to pick their neighbor. You're not going to do an open house to pacify the seller. You're going to do the open house and so that you have the ability to invite everybody in the neighborhood, because again, it's branding. If we're doing a survey in that neighborhood, which we would be doing surveys in that neighborhood, but we want the neighborhood to say, hey, if you were interviewing an expert that specializes in residential real estate in the neighborhood, who would you interview? We want them to say your name, especially if we said name the top 3 agents servicing this neighborhood. A lot of the times, if we called a real estate agent's neighborhood that they live in, people in the neighborhood don't even know their real estate. They don't do anything. Right. They don't participate in the HOA. They don't participate in sponsoring any community type events. Step above and beyond that, organizing them on their own. I got a friend named Andrew Gadosh, and he's done really, really well. I mean, he puts on the local firecracker show, but now his neighborhood is a lake community, but he has it's literally unbelievable market share. And again, the tip of the spear there is, it's getting your first transaction, because your transactions are what you market, right? When you sell a home, when the medium home sales price and you sell a home for 11% more, you're going to tap into, for me, it would be the process in which we use that would differentiate us. So it would be the proven repeatable system backed by market research to sell your home for up to 18% more, validated through customer testimonials. Again, all of that backing, it's becoming that incredible Hulk in a puddle. Now, what you were saying is you have to have a value proposition. And so if it were that neighborhood, I might do something like offer guarantees, offer risk reversal, the things that I know that current agents aren't doing right now. A lot of homeowners, they're in a situation today where they can get an offer on their home. They can go to OfferPad, Open Door, Express Offers, Zillow Offers. I mean, you name it. There's probably really 5 or 6 others, not to include the other people that live in the community. And some of those people are making valid good offers. First of all, they don't know how it works. And all of those companies, for the most of them, pay a real estate professional. And so why would you not submit your clients' homes once you have an exclusive listing agreement to those people? What if they were to place an offer, which they did for a friend of mine that is a highly producing real estate agent? He was presented with an offer that he said, I will take. It was a good offer, right? And so skipping that step and taking them 6 months to get the same they would have gotten in 30 days, or if there's any, if they're timing and motivation, it's really people's reason for selling. Everyone has a different reason, and sometimes timing is important if they want to leave at a certain time. So being able to lead with that offer, sell your Newman Village home and receive up to three offers on your home within 72 hours. And so, it's nailing down a strong value proposition, which goes back to how is that going to work? And we've done, we've helped people in New Jersey do condominium funnels, but we've helped people in Tampa do waterfront or actually, waterfront funnels. We've helped people do 1 acre plus funnels. But the point is you have to start somewhere. I was having a conversation with one of our partners who builds funnels with us, Ryan Harper. And Ryan was telling me, Mike, when I get on the phone and build some of these funnels, a lot of the times people don't understand. And I want to take this as a second to understand what a funnel is and what it isn't. A lot of people don't realize, when a funnel is designed to get you into conversation, you can't determine somebody's timing and motivation, but you can get into conversation and get permission-based follow-up. And so a lot of the times what we found is, we know that 3% of the market is ready to do something today, but there's 20% that wants to do something over time. And so having a funnel and understanding your target market allows you to build nurture content that's going to be relevant. So in somebody in a neighborhood, I'm simply going to tell them, hey, listen, one of the biggest things that's driving the impact of your home's value is the home sales of the other homes in the neighborhood. We organize that and put together a market update every single month. You can get a copy of that, and if you rather have it quarterly, we can send it to you that way as well. But is that something that you might be interested in? And so it's stacking that offer. It's making the offer, and when the person doesn't want to sell today, it's having that secondary offer so that you can have a reason to communicate with them so that in the future, when I do that survey, they name you. Because most people, 30% of the agents get out of the business, right, every year. And so there's a good chance that 30% of all the homes that sold in any neighborhood, their agent's not even in the business anymore. And if they are in the business, then if they're an average agent selling 6 homes a year, they sell so few that they don't have enough money to stay top of mind. They've not been properly trained. So like they're an orphan. Think about it. So many listings get listed with an agent, but very few with the previous agent. And the reason why is, the surveys say they can't even remember their previous agent's name. And so that creates an opportunity. And when you can come in there, it gives you that tip of spear strategy where you can come in there, take over a neighborhood, and then repeat that into another neighborhood. So it gives you the ability to really nail your processes and systems and scale it to other markets or other neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's the most beautiful thing I think about getting a tip of spear strategy is that it is duplicatable. You can scale, like I always tell people when they're looking to try to scale something, usually in the very beginning, we get a tip of spear strategy, which can be producing generally like consistently 1 or 2 transactions per month. And then it's like, okay, can we scale that, right? Can we make it produce 3 or 4? And there's 2 ways that we can do it. We can scale vertically and we can scale horizontally, meaning that we can go deeper in a neighborhood. We can add more to our marketing process. We can add more top of funnel to get in front of more of those people and get more market share. Let's just call it a neighborhood within a neighborhood, and by going deeper within the existing market that we're targeting. Or we can go horizontally where we actually, move on to another neighborhood or start running ads in, other zip codes or in other areas across town and, repeat that system, especially as people build teams and expand and get other agents working different areas of the market. That becomes the most easiest part of it. But it all starts with, like I was telling somebody this analogy the other day on the tip of spear. I was like, we got to poke the spear out and make sure that we can penetrate, make sure that it bleeds. And then once we know we got it bleed, then we can move in for the kill. And I was like, I don't know that that's a very good analogy for tip of spear, but it really is kind of the point. Like, we got to get something out there that's going to, make an impact, that's going to, draw some blood, and get us.
Yeah, you're being a little bit too violent for me.
I know, like we might get a explicit rating on the podcast.
Yeah. I think it's just an entry point. It's like you have to start somewhere, and here's the problem, is most people don't know where to start. And because of that, they start in too many directions. I'm telling you, I've been on so many meetings where there's scope creep and it's complexity. A tip of spear it's the minimum viable process to validate product market fit. And what you're trying to do is there an audience in here that warrants my time, energy, and effort for, investing my resources? Is there a market here? And if so, is this market responsive to these types of messages? When you nail that, and here's the fact, my tip of spear, I know we're doing an episode next week about working with sellers, but, I'll give you an example. If I was going into a neighborhood, I could either say, find out what your home's worth, or I could say Newman Village homeowners. Home prices rise 8.9%. Find out what your home's worth, blah, blah, blah. Or I could say, learn the 3 things not to do to avoid a pricing mistake. I can just call them out, right? Because I'm going after them. I see some home evaluations. It's like, what's your home's worth? What your home's worth is different than thinking of selling what your home's worth. And it's certainly different than Newman Village homeowners thinking of selling what is your home's worth. What tip of spear really does is it gives you the handles to the messaging to be able to increase conversion, have a higher probability of success. If you run an ad on Facebook right now to Frisco and say, search up to 10,000 properties, see any home, and get updates. Well, that home might be a home you don't want to sell. Now every home in Frisco is expensive now, but if you would have ran that ad in some cities, it might be an area like, I don't want to work that area. And so your marketing should repel. And when I say work that area, maybe it's too far for you to drive. Maybe like you're in a city where you're working a very certain area. It doesn't mean that you can't send it out for a referral, but you specifically don't want to get in your car, go there, fill up the brochures, show the house when somebody calls. It's too far for you to do that. Well, when you have real broad terms, the more you narrow your target market down, even down to buyer, seller, and like you said, their interest or their situation, if you will, the more you narrow that down, the better you can blow that dog whistle, and the better the marketing messages that you can put in place.
Yeah, your message will get lost if it's too broad. Your message is just going to get lost in the sea of all of the information that's coming at them. I mean, usually on average, we have probably on social media, we probably got half a second, or a second. We've got such a split second amount of timing in order to be able to grab somebody's attention when we're using interruption marketing. When we're using search marketing, that's where it becomes even more important, because people are searching for specific terms. So, what are the terms that we want to own? If somebody types in Newman Village, we want to show up. Okay, now that we've shown up, what is it that's going to get them to click that ad? What's the message that we want to put in from them that's going to entice them? I can tell you the last thing that you want to happen is do a good job targeting an area and then fall out of rapport in the funnel because your messaging doesn't stay congruent. When you get really focused on a tip of spear strategy and a niche and you're focused, everything in the funnel is focused, and it creates a seamless experience for the person coming into that to know, hey, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I want what you have on the other end of this thing. So I'm going to keep, taking the next step to move forward.
Heck yeah, 100%. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's the most important first step. You want to have a target market. It's going to help you know your ICP. You want to validate that there's an audience, and there's so many niches to pick from: probate, luxury, neighborhood, waterfront, new construction. But again, when you have that without a strong value proposition, you're not going to get people to engage. A funnel, when you're trying to funnel people down, remember, you have top of funnel. That's marketing. And that's where you're creating interest. And whether you're doing paid ads or you're doing organic, you're going to want those people to convert. But remember, only 3% are going to be ready for now business. So make sure from your sales process and that you have that working hot, that long-term nurture. For me, it's real simple. Timing determines motivation. I am happy with the conversation. All I track is leads generated, conversations had, because the rest of the numbers work out.
Mm-hmm.
they work out for themselves. So when I'm on a call, if they want to do something in the next, I used to say 90, I would say 60 days, they're motivated. If they're going to do something in the next 12 months, they're going to be a nurturer, working hot, because their time frame could change. So I want to keep in touch with them. Or they're going to be a long-term nurturer. And, that means they've agreed for me to be able to communicate with them over long-term, market updates, whatever my secondary offer is, but they're not doing anything in the next 12 months, but I'm still going to have something for them. And that's what we mean by funneling them down. And that's what we mean by tip of spear, is having an entry point, getting started. Once you get started and you've learned it, you can have 3 funnels, you can have 4 funnels, you can have one for a neighborhood. You can specifically do, if you do expireds and FSBOs, you can have a funnel just for your past clients for getting referrals. But the tip of spear is a mental model for where to start. I'm going to start here. This isn't where I'm going to be 6 months, 12 months from now. This is where I'm going to start. This is my entry point. And I'm choosing this over this, and this. And I can tell you why, because I took the time to think of what market I was going to target. And I think if you do that, that's a good first step. Everything else is infinitely easier when you have a clearly defined target market. Matching that with the next step is easy, which is messaging. And that all starts with nailing that down.
When you have clarity, it's so much easier to take action. When you have clarity, we have a very specific goal. And the cool thing is too, is we can usually make a lot of assumptions based on, that target audience. It's a mathematical number. We can know what the turnover rate is in a neighborhood. We can know what the total addressable market is. I mean, if there's, 150 sales in a particular neighborhood, okay, well now what's our assumption of the market share that we can get for that neighborhood? We can make assumptions based on, how many people are in this particular situation. I remember when I was doing short sales, man, my assumptions changed from the number of people who were in default, meaning in my state, it was a judicial state. So there was a Liz pendants filed. So we knew how many of those were being filed monthly, and we did math based on that. But then it actually moved to just how many people started missing payments, because I knew 92% of people that missed their second mortgage payment would go all the way into foreclosure. So to me, that's like 80% of the magic in being able to focus on a tip of spear strategy, is being able to have some clear assumptions to where we feel like we're winning before we start, because we know, man, if we just do follow these activities and we put enough into the top of funnel, the rest of the numbers are going to shake out, and it's going to produce the amount of transactions that we need. It's going to produce the amount of revenue that we need.
You can create a model.
Yeah, create a clear model, predictable model.
There you go. So if you want a clear, predictable model, you got to start with step 1, tip of spear. If you haven't done that, make sure you do it. Don't skip this step, because I can promise you we've done it both ways, and it's a lot easier by getting super clear. So with that being said, any final words of wisdom, Woods?
Man, I would probably just give a quick little shameless plug. I mean, you gave a really good class at listing class that kind of gives some examples of tip of spear strategies and funnels that we've done with some clear metrics, and kind of see how this stuff works in practice. So I think for anybody who's maybe wants to take a little bit deeper dive on this type of strategy, I would definitely tell them to check out listingclass.com and see how we've done this, across a couple of different target markets with a couple of different tip of spear strategies.
Absolutely. Go check it out, listingclass.com. Make sure you subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube and you like it, go ahead and hit that like button. And while you're down there, turn on notifications. We put out more content every single week, new content every single week, so you'll be notified. And if you're on Spotify or listening to this via podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button too, because for the same reasons, you'll be notified when the new episodes drop. We drop new episodes every single week. Thank you, guys. The best life to live
is a life by strategy.